Hello, God bless you. It's good to be with you. Just a quick video. My name is Jason. I'm in Ghana, Accra. God bless you. Love to everybody out there. But just a very quick video. It's good to be with you. Just to let you know that I'll be in the UK in the next few days on the 25th of February. If there's any Muslim apologists out there who would like to come up to Manchester or organise a debate in Manchester, I'll be up for 2 weeks. I'll be in Manchester for 2 weeks from the 24th to the 9th, 24th of February, 25th of February to the 9th of March. So if there's any Muslim apologist out there who wants a formal academic debate in a friendly way, let me know under the YouTube channel, under the YouTube video, and I'll oblige that debate if you want to debate. Just putting that out there. In 1 Corinthians 15, it says, "Now brothers," verse 1, "I want to remind you of the gospel I preached to you, which you received and on which you have taken your stand. By this gospel you are saved, if you hold firmly to the word I preached to you. Otherwise you have believed in vain. For what I received I passed to you, as if of first importance, that Christ died for our sins according to the Scriptures, that he was buried, that he was raised on the third day according to the Scriptures, that he appeared to Peter and then to the 12, and after that he appeared to more than 500 of the brothers at the same time, most of whom are still living, though some have fallen asleep. Then he appeared to James, then to all the apostles, and last of all he appeared to me also, as to one abnormally born." So just a few minutes, a very short video. I've been watching quite a few debates between Christian and Muslim apologists, and I just want to bring out a couple of points quickly. Number one, Muslim apologists often quote Christian scholars, but the critical tools that these Christian scholars use, like form criticism and various other methodologies, they wouldn't actually use it on the Quran. So there's a double standard there. They cherry pick the kind of critical scholars they want to use against the Bible, but that they won't allow that kind of critical scholarship on the Quran. That's the first thing. The second thing is that the Muslims think it's a weakness that we believe in the Trinity and that we don't want to discuss the oneness of God. But there are some philosophical problems with the oneness of God. How does God be one and actually enter time? If he's to enter time, if his word enter time, how does that relate to his oneness? It shows you that there is an essence apart from his essence. So there are philosophical problems concerning the oneness of God. If God works in time, if they believe God works in time, gave the word in time, then how does the oneness separate from time and space in terms of the temporal universe? So that's a problem in Islam. It's not something that Christians shy away from. There are some severe philosophical problems with the concept of the oneness of God. The other thing as well is textual criticism. I've noticed in the debates that the Christians are very weak on the textual criticism. They'll often concede that the last ending of Mark is not in the Bible, which I think is silly because they've not done their research. If you go to the Sinaiticus and Vaticanus, they've actually acknowledged that by leaving a gap for those verses, they acknowledge that those verses were around. And the passage in 1 John where it talks about the Trinity, also it's acknowledged in one of the manuscripts, Sinaiticus and Vaticanus, as a textual variant. So I tend to find that modern apologists, Christian apologists, get beat hands down on the issue of textual criticism because they don't follow the majority text. They need to read scholars like Dean Bergen and from that school of thought. and come down on the majority text, but they don't, and so they concede that there are verses in the Bible that shouldn't be there, such as the last end of Mark, the woman committing adultery in the Gospel of John, and the Trinity text. And I think that James White and people like that, Daniel Wallace, make a grave mistake, and other apologists as well. Um, the other thing as well is that I think that it's important to go for the main issue, and the main issue is the life, death, and resurrection of Christ. And in the debate with Muslims, to point out the teaching of who Christ is, what he taught, the wonders of it, what it points to about him, the defense of the cross and the defense of the resurrection. And that's what the apostles did when they went preaching in the book of Acts. So I think in debates there should be a much stronger focus on the death and resurrection. When critiquing Islam, to point out in the Quran it says that he didn't die on the cross, and so then to bring our evidence. I'll be with you in a second. No, if you go back, if you go, yeah, go, it's just a little boy coming. No, if you go, you're not allowed to come. No, go. You go, yes. Sorry, it's a little boy. He shouldn't be in the church. You get African boys come in and playing football and come in the church, and they shouldn't be. So those are my points really, is the Islamic scholars often use Christian critical scholars, but they won't allow that on their own text. And the Christian scholars are very weak on textual criticism. They take the modern textual critical view, like Daniel Wallace and James White, and I think that leaves them wide open. And often they get off topic, and they need to focus on the main thing, which is the death and resurrection of Christ, because that's where the main evidence is. And when you're dealing with Islam and you critique, you need to make sure that you've checked the Arabic of the Quran, that you've checked the Hadith scholars, that you've checked it. And very often, sometimes, Christian scholars and Christian debaters need to make it cast iron when they start quoting things, because sometimes the Muslims will point that out, that you're misquoting the Quran or you're misquoting the Hadith. And that's it really. So looking at some debates that I've been watching recently, it needs to be pointed out much strongly the double standards of the Muslim scholars. Muslim debaters are using critical scholars and they're contradicting themselves. Christians need to be much stronger on textual criticism and bring textual criticism to the Quran, and bring a ton of evidence of textual criticism about the Quran, like showing the textual variants, and really hit home on it. And there's lots of other areas that you can bring in. Look at the other sources that the Quran borrowed, the various Jewish fables and Gnostic fables that the Quran borrowed, and bring that out. And then bring a lot of historical evidence about Jesus dying and rising again. And then to watch out for this, like when they bring out contradictions. And one of the things about Muslim polemicists, they love to be dramatic. So you've got to be lively and colourful in your debate, not lively. And you need to be colourful, you need to be a character and a vibrant in your debate style. So those are my thoughts concerning Christian apologies debates. Okay. Know your stuff, do your research, know your opponents. You should, as a debater, you should be reading and listening to the person you're debating. If you're going to debate Shabi Ali, listen to his debates, make notes on his debates, read his books, prepare yourself. So when you go to debate Shabi Ali, you know what he's going to say and you know how to respond. If you're going to debate anyone at Hyde Park Speaker's Corner, you need to go and research who you're going to debate. Are you going to debate Mansour, Hashim, Mohammed Hijab? Well, watch their videos, make notes, and find out everything you can about that person and their debate style and the kind of things that they say. The other thing that needs to be brought out is the linear understanding of the Bible. That the Bible is progressive revelation, and it needs to be hit home much more in debates. I know it has been touched on, but it needs to be brought out, the difference between the Islamic interpretation of the Bible and the progressive revelation understanding of the Bible, and from a Christ-centered focus of the Bible. It needs to be pointed out much more strongly, presuppositions in interpreting the text. And I think Muslim debaters get away with this a lot. The Christian debaters let Muslim debaters get away with this a lot. And they should be called out on it, that when a Muslim is looking at a text of the Bible, they're not interpreting it in the historical grammatical method. They're interpreting it from... Yes, I did. I watched the Dyer and Paul Williams debate, and Jay Dyer did excellent. He did very, very well. In fact, he smashed it. It was a brilliant debate with Paul Williams. So I did watch that. Yeah, it was a very, very good debate. In fact, if you want to see a masterclass in debate style, I would encourage you to go and listen to Jay Dyer as a debater. He's a very good debater. He lost it a bit at the end. He got a bit excited and lost the calmness. But when he debated the atheist Matt Delunty, he was brilliant. He was absolutely brilliant. He was on top form there. That was a masterclass of debate. That was up there with the Greg Banson debate with the atheist years ago with Stein. But his debate with Paul Williams was not as good as his Matt Delunty debate, but it was excellent. It was very good. But I think that he made one or two mistakes. Paul Williams was talking about the synoptics, and Dyer said, so you believe in critical scholarship? And Paul said, yeah. And then he said, well, do you believe in the Wellhausen hypothesis? And the guy, Paul Williams, said, yeah. But Paul Williams was not basing his debate and argument on the Wellhausen hypothesis or on attacking the Mosaic authorship. He was focusing on the synoptic gospels. So I felt that J. Dyer did equivocation there. But his debate was excellent. It was an excellent debate. So we need to focus more in debates about the progressive revelation of the Christian faith, as opposed to this Islamic interpretation from the Quran. And Dyer pointed that out. Dyer pointed in the debate with Paul Williams, he pointed out that, look, you're reading the Quran from your Islamic perspective. And he kept pointing that out, and it was very powerful and it was very effective. And that needs to be done much more in debates. And it's not being done as men how they interpret the Bible. So that's all I have to say. Like I said, I'm coming to the UK. I'll be there next week. If there are any Muslim scholars out there who at Hyde Park who want to come up to Manchester and can arrange it and debate a professional debate, I'm happy to do that if anyone can arrange it. If not, don't worry about it. So God bless you. I'm going to go, but I just wanted to bring a few things out. We need to focus. The issue of the oneness of God is not something to run away for. There's lots of philosophical arguments to deal with that. The issue of the Muslims using Christian scholarship, they need to be called out for their arbitrariness and pick and mix on that. The issue of them needing to acknowledge they're interpreting the Bible from the Quranic perspective, you need to challenge them on that. And the need to focus on the central issue of the life, death and resurrection of Christ in your debates, to focus on the good things of Christ, his teaching, and then on his death and resurrection. And this issue about the law that Muslims bring up, it should be expounded much more clearly, because they don't seem to understand the concept of the law in Judaism and in Christianity and how it relates to Christ. So that's all I've got to say. God bless you. Love to everybody, and hope you've enjoyed this little video. God bless you. Take care. God bless you.